This is a quick tutorial on how to use Unreal.js, which is a plugin for Unreal Engine 4 that lets you code your games using JavaScript. So what you want to do is head over to github.com/ncsoft/unreal.js and either download the zip or clone the project via Git. And then you also want to go to the Releases tab and download the pre-built binaries of the plugin. Alternatively, you could build the plugin yourself, but if you're going to do that, you would then also have to go to the second page of the releases and download the appropriate pre-built V8 library for your system. So back over here, we've downloaded both the Unreal.js project and we've downloaded the plugin. I'm going to extract the project into my projects directory. And then once I've done that, what I'll end up with is the same structure that you can see here on GitHub. In the plugins directory, that's where the source code for the plugin lives. And again, if you wanted to download the pre-built libraries for V8, you can do that and build it. But if you just want to get cracking with the examples, if you go into the examples directory, here is the actual JavaScript Playground project. What you'll want to do is extract the pre-built plugin that you downloaded from the Releases tab into here, and then we can fire up the JavaScript Playground example project. Now, apart from the examples, it's probably best to let you know that there's a pretty comprehensive wiki in terms of just snippets of code and examples of how to do various bits and pieces. And it might take a bit of reading and a bit of looking around to find exactly what you're after. But there's a whole bunch of cool stuff here. Pretty much most of your questions can be answered by browsing the wiki, or alternatively even trawling through some of the closed issues, because a lot of people have come before you and probably asked the same questions you've got. But back to the project. What is the immediate question is, okay, what are we looking at? So we've got a number of maps here, and each of these maps, if we actually look at the project, these maps live under content, as you can see here in the content browser. There is also a scripts directory, and in the scripts directory are the corresponding JavaScript files. So let's load up this hello character example. So if I click play on this example has a number of mannequins running around, and the corresponding JavaScript file for this it's got the same name as the map, so I'll just stop that. The corresponding JavaScript file is hello character.js. So it is 127 lines of JavaScript code that runs this example, which is pretty cool. How does Unreal know that it should be running this JavaScript code? Well, if you actually look at this map over here in the world outline, you can see there is this actor. And this actor, if you look at the details tab, has a JavaScript component, and that JavaScript component has a field called script source file that points to the hello character.js file. So that's how this particular example knows that when it runs, it should run that particular JavaScript. Besides having an actor in your level that has a component, the other way of hooking up a game or a level to use Unreal.js is demonstrated here with this hello game example. So I've loaded up this map. It doesn't have an actor that has a JavaScript component. However, if you look at its world settings, there is a game mode override. So we can see here it's loading a proxy game mode, and over here we've got this proxy game mode blueprint. If we load that up, you can see that it has a JavaScript component that tells it to run the hello game.js script, which you can see here. So again, there's two ways to do it. You can either have an actor within your level that has a JavaScript component, as you'll find here with this example, or with this example, you can see that there is no JavaScript component actor in the level, but there is a game mode, and that game mode has a JavaScript component that tells it to run the corresponding JS file. Now, just looking at this example, and this is probably the same structure that most of them have if you look at them. They will have an overall sort of global function that wraps everything. Within that, the important parts to note are a main function, and then this try catch block after that. The try catch block will load, and a lot of the examples, they load a bootstrap module, which just loads a couple of other little scripts that get things up and running, and then you pass it the name of your script. So for example, we've got hellogame.js here, so you use hello game there. Similar in that character example, it had hello character because the script was called hello character.js. But back to the main function, this is where the main magic happens. It typically, in the examples, returns a function that does the cleanup. In this example, there's no real cleanup to do unless you follow this path in the code. And apart from that, it's just straight up JavaScript. It looks very similar to the C++ code that you would write. So for example, here, this example shows that you've got a player controller class that extends the default player controller. You've got a begin play function here that runs when the game kicks off. You've got a couple of other functions. This one is specified as being a multicast function that actually has a float parameter. This is a key binding function that when I press Control E on the keyboard, it actually runs this function. And this is another function which just runs on the server as specified by that comment. But I won't get into the details of all of these things. It's actually pretty much explained in more detail that I could go into here on the wiki if you have a read. So yeah, this is how you use Unreal.js. You've got a JavaScript console which spits out the JavaScript output. So you can use console.log, similar to you would use in your web browser, and it spits out other information. Yeah, that's pretty much how you get started using Unreal.js. I think it's a great way to go if you're starting out learning to code, because it's a bit less scary than C++, and it's a lot less typing. And the other benefit of it as well is I'm using it in combination with blueprints for the fact that you can do a lot more heavy lifting in JavaScript than you could do in blueprints. And by that I mean quite often you'll end up with a blueprint that's a lot of spaghetti code, whereas in JavaScript it might be only 2 or 3 lines of code to do something that otherwise takes up your screen with a bunch of wires and nodes. And the nice part about it is in your JavaScript you can actually subclass not only just standard Unreal classes, but you can create blueprints and then subclass those in your JavaScript. So you create, for example, a character or a controller class using a blueprint that does a few basic things, and then you could subclass that in JavaScript if you wanted to get funky and do some more technical things or things that required a bit of coding. And do that coding using JavaScript. So yep, that's Unreal.js. Head over to GitHub, check it out. If you do have any troubles, Nako-sung that maintains the project, he's always looking at the issue queue, and he's a very friendly and helpful guy. But yeah, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.